Okay. First intent, War Dancer, God. Now, I'm not going to focus too much on the Dominion because it's been a couple days since the balance patch. Y'all copy somebody's build for Dominion, but let's go over the basics. Engraving, Grudge, right? Grudge, Keen Blunt, Ray Captain, Mass Increase. You're getting a lot of perk out of them. You're getting a lot of juice out of these guys because you're going to stack a lot of high crit here. We did lose crit from the tripods, which is good. We could suck crit synergy. That's awesome. We could suck the crit coming from our bracelet. So Keen Blunt, very nice tripod. I mean, not tripod, engraving. It was good before. It was better before because we had 100% guaranteed crit from the 2 of the top 3 damage skills. But it's still very good. Just that crit. First intent. Got buffed. Ray Captain gonna fulfill it. And Master Increase, we're gonna fulfill it because we're gonna stack Swiftness, Adrenaline 1, or Adrenaline 2. If you have a reverse, Adrenaline 3 with like Mass Increase 2, it is what it is. Use that. Stats, Swiftness, right? Stack the Swiftness. Swiftness, good. Cooldown reduction. Attack speed, Ray Captain, all of that. We're a cycle dealer. They nerfed our entropy tripod on the new skill. So they're just forcing first intent War Dance to be a cycle dealer. We're a cycle dealer. So swiftness is very good, very high value. The more swiftness you have, the higher value it is. That's how cooldown reduction works in most, if not all, games. Gems. You don't need to have level 10 gems, but obviously because you're a cycle dealer, you want to be cycling more often. Okay? But yeah, so the 5 damage gems. Priority, it depends on how good you are at wind farting, but wind fart would be in the top 3, if not top 2. Depends on the situation of the fight. But sweeping kick is going to be top priority. And then this one, whatever this is called in an AU, Rising Dragon, whatever I'm going to call it Liu Kang kick. So sweeping, and then Liu Kang kick, they're top 2, but depending on how good you are with the wind fart and the situation of the DPS of the group, you might be wind fart snapping a lot. We'll talk about that later, rotation-wise later. And this one, lightning kick is not that important, but it does contribute to the pie. And yeah, 6 cooldown gems. So priority standard. Elixirs under 80% crit, go Master. I am using Master myself because it's very rare to have a group where you have a War Dancer and there's another crit synergy. But if you're in a case like that and your crit is looking good, then you could go critical. Okay? Set Dominion 6-piece. 6-piece Dominion. Now, with the balance patch, you have more awakening charges. So you don't necessarily need to go. I highly advise my chatters at Twitch, the TV4/Zeals Ambitions over here, guys, these guys. I told them if they don't like micromanaging conviction judgment conviction, or like they don't like the mana issues, why play 6-piece Dominion? Just play 2-piece Nightmare. Yes, on paper it is lower ceiling by about 2.6%, 3%, but in actual fight it could actually be up on par with 6-piece Dominion, if not better, right? Because you're not running out of mana. Whatever you're comfy with, because the reason why is because we have 5 charges of awakening now with the balance patch. So back in the 3 charge days, okay, Dominion made sense. You might need all the charges of Dominion when you do Hell Hanamatan, but you don't have that yet. And Hell first, Thaymine, the first mode, okay? But even then, you don't have to go 6-piece Dominion if your group DPS is fine. Like for example, our group, during Prague, we have 5 minutes left before we transition to Gate 5 from Gate 4. And today, we about have like 9 minutes left. So we don't really need all those charges of awakenings. So it is preference. So yeah, Dominion, there it is. Conviction, Judgment, Placement, Lower Floor versus Ceiling. What does that mean? So Judgment, Conviction. If we look here, I'm going to put this a little bit to the side. I'm going to put that to the side. So there are some builds where you... Okay, wrong build. Sorry. All right, this is the Dominion build. So some people put the Conviction here, or they put it on Lightning Kick. The Lightning Kick is the weak sauce build, but if you're not good at snapshotting, then that's what people recommend, right? Most War Dancers that you would inspect with the API in Korea would play this Conviction here, because it's not that hard. Like, you got nothing else to really worry about or think about as you play first intent War Dancer. We got rid. They fixed a lot of our issues, like the T-Rex issues, you know, the short range. So this is like the only thing we have to actually care about. So why not, right? Use your brain a little bit. But if you still hate Conviction Judgment, okay, what are you guys doing, man? I'm turning that off. Turning that off, man. Stop. Look at this channel point abusers. But you could put the Conviction here to proc Conviction Judgment. Judgment, you keep it here, right? So you could go Conviction. And then you change the tripod to the Lightning, this one, with the multi-ticks to proc the Conviction better, right? But that is a little bit lower ceiling. That's a whistle build, but you could do that if you want, right? Most people go this way, okay? But this is a higher ceiling. It's not that big of a difference. Do whatever you want. Preference. Do whatever you want. But as for the runes, that's what it's gonna look like. I have the mana saving runes. You could put Cleanse Rune here. You could put Gale Wind here. You could put more Stagger here. Doesn't matter. I do it like this because in my static, if I do it like that, I run out of mana with a Bard. With Artist, I don't really run out of mana. Okay? So this is the way I like to do it. And as for the tripods, just like that. Just like that. Just like that, right? Mana saving right here. If you're Dominion 6-piece, you need the mana saving there. And then just like that. You don't have to do this. This is preference. This row is preference. And this one, just like that. Okay. And then mana saving. This one's huge. I tried without it versus with it. I noticed huge difference with it. Mileage may vary. If you play with an Artist Summoner, you know, it's different. And then this one is also preference. You could go... I mean, I think the left one's the best right there. And same thing, preference here. You could go with this, or you could go with that. Doesn't really matter. That is the tripods for all the skills. I think I showed all the skills here. Now, some people are going to be asking me, why don't you go with this one? In Trixian, this is going to sim better, but in actual fight, this is going to be better because you want higher DPC. Okay. There are people like Reapers that go on like the cooldown reduction and they're like, oh, it's so much better in Trixian, but you're not... Who cares about Trixian? Next, Wind Fart usage as well as... We'll talk about Wind Fart usage when we go into Trixian. Let me talk about Nightmare real quick. Nightmare does theoretically have a higher ceiling. And it's good for like... Not only long raids... It's good for prog, it's good for a lot of places, but mileage may vary because it's spammy AF. Dominion is already spammy, but Nightmare is even spammier. Okay, so engravings the same, everything's the same. Nightmare 6-piece. Instead of Conviction Judgment, if you don't like Conviction Judgment, and if you don't like running out of mana, then Nightmare I highly recommend it, but the Nightmare is going to be very spammy. And 2 additional things you need to care for when you play Nightmare to have a higher ceiling. Now, you don't have to do this to pull your weight. You can pull your own one person's weight by not applying what I say, the 2 tips. But if you want to really milk Nightmare to get the highest ceiling of a first attack War Dancer, then you need to control Endless Mana, where you have extra cooldown reduction as well as attack speed, right? And when to escape the Endless Mana and go into addiction phase. For example, when the boss takes extra damage, like Gate 1, Con, Harm. What the hell is this freaking seal doing, man? It's like humping the floor. So distracted me. So like Gate 1 of Con at 50 bars, right? You want to do big damage, big DPC. You have a really juiced up group, and you can maybe do 2 cycles before he reaches 0 HP. Then you want to have the highest DPC by going out of the Endless Mana. And there is a trick to do that. And Wind Fart usage becomes even more important than Dominion. And tripods. Let me show you guys the tripods before I enter Trixian. I really hate Trixian these days. It needs a freaking rework, man. So quick recharge placement is... it is not like set in stone. You could put quick recharge here. Theoretically, on paper, this would be the best. But it is preference where you put the quick recharge. And you could obviously have the Cleanse Rune like that. Okay, quick recharge, quick recharge, quick recharge. Quick recharge is very important. It will, like when your Wind Fart is ticking and quick recharge procs, you have to be very mindful of that. But once again, as I said, if you're not mindful of that, it is okay. The floor is high enough for Nightmare that you will still carry your weight. The Nightmare build has a nice floor that is not better floor than 6-piece Dominion, but it has a decent enough floor that even if you screw up and don't min-max, you still pull your weight. However, the ceiling is a little bit higher than Nightmare. I mean, Dominion. So Dominion has a higher floor, lower ceiling. Nightmare has a higher ceiling, but a little bit lower floor. Now, about the Nightmare having a little bit higher ceiling, it is a lot of work to get that. So that is up to you. Like, I tried it for Hell Haramatan. I did it with Nightmare with wrong tripods. I had mana reducing or mana helping tripods, and I still destroyed everybody. And I tried it as Dominion as well. But then Dominion, you might run out of the charges at the end if you don't really space them out. For example, when the monkey is phase transitioning, he picks you up in Hell Haramatan and takes you with him to the next platform. You don't need to refresh your Dominion before that, you know what I mean? Like, you can refresh it afterwards. But there are some people that really hate Conviction Judgment, and I get it, but I think you should embrace the Conviction Judgment because that is the only shackle that a first intent War Dancers have. Okay? Now, before I get in there, let me fix the tripods, and now it's time to talk about the Dominion. We'll talk about Dominion cycle, and then we'll talk about Nightmare, okay? Dominion versus... Okay, let's put this away. I think I talked about... Did I show you guys all the tripods? Okay, I'll talk about the tripods afterwards, but I showed you guys the runes, right? I showed you guys the runes. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do that. Oh, wait.
Dominion.
Wait, what's the button that gives endless mana? Let's do this. Is this endless mana? Do I have endless mana now? Okay. Okay, guys, so Dominion. Let's reset this. You start the fight like that, okay? Wind Fart. Depending on the cooldown gen you have and how much quick recharge proc or swiftness you have to snap the Wind Fart like that. So the way I like to snap my Wind Fart with my gear is on the second Wind Whisper rotation. Now, it depends on the quick recharge proc. I might snapshot before that. But you want to protect the fart detonation with Wind Whisper as well as Roar of Courage, right? Because it's not a back attack skill, so you kind of need all the crit help you can get. So that is the thing that you need to study as a first intent War Dancer. Conviction Judgment as Dominion. When to proc it. Proc it last time. 45 seconds before. 45 seconds before you're about to refresh your awakening. And then wind farting. Usually I like to wind fart with this skill instead of like with this skill. Because this skill placement is following where you go. So if you're over here and you wind fart, you ain't hitting shit. So I like to wind fart with sweeping kick. Da, like that. Right? It doesn't have a GCD. Only when you refresh it has a GCD. And every time you detonate, it stacks up Master as well as Adrenaline. And then when you detonate, it will refresh Adrenaline and Master as well, right? You guys know that. It's in the War Dancer Esoteric Guide. So, on the second cycle, my quick recharge did not proc from Lightning Kick. Bah, like that for me. Bomb. Refreshing the wind fart is more important than getting your punch in, okay? Yeah. Punch, you could just protect it with SSB as well, right? Now, wind fart, there is no like real rule. Like, let's say for example, you're doing a con gate 2. In the beginning, you pop Atrophin, the Bard buff, Pally buff, Artist buff, whatever, and you're pounding the boss, right? You have wind fart, you're pounding. And then the boss is about to phase, go to the middle of the room, then just fart. Or you could go there and then fart. All you need to do is that you have to get 10 stacks, right? The 10 stacks. You rub. It stacks up pretty quick, okay? Because if you detonate too fast, then you're sitting in cooldown, right? And you didn't get enough stacks, so it's a DPS loss. So you just need to know the timing of the wind fart. And only you know that. And being good at wind fart, the energy combustion timing, that will differentiate a good first intent War Dancer versus a bad one. Because you need to be able to snap it. Snipe it from the damage, like the damage pie. You have to eat take more of the pie. So, for example, let's say it's a phase where the boss is taking more damage or he's bent over after stagger, and the bar gives you a 2-bubble Youngmang, right? The 10-second buff, 15% damage buff. And then after that, the boss is gonna die, let's say. Then you want to detonate your wind fart twice in that 10-second window with the atropine and all your things up, right? Now, let's say the boss is gonna get up, it's not over, then maybe it was not worth detonating your second wind fart before the 10 stacks. So you need to know how to like snap the wind fart. That will differentiate a MVP machine first and 10 versus, you know, an upright fighter. Okay, now what about Nightmare? Nightmare is the same thing. You need to learn how to fart. Very good. But Nightmare, you have to fart even more. Because you have a thing called Endless Mana. So let's do this. And then let's get, where you at, boy? Let's do that. So obviously, entering Endless Mana, you don't want to enter Endless Mana with D or F. These two skills. You don't want to enter with A, S, D, F, ideally, but you want to enter with like these skills. But if you can't, it is what it is. If you don't, it doesn't matter, right? Like I said, it's very forgiving. So let's just look here. Prop the Awakening. Different tripod on sweeping kick. Okay, let's prog Endless Mana first. And no, there it is, right? So when you do Guardians and there's no support, this is nice. Quick recharge procs, so I could win far right there. When quick recharge procs, think of look at the wind fart icon. Before it goes to R, right there at the middle, you could fart and it'll be back up. Now, once again, that depends on your gear. And that's in Endless Mana and then the quick recharge procs. The beautiful thing about Nightmare is that, like, your cycle, like, it doesn't matter if you early proc your A and S. You're gonna have a high uptime on A and S. Your A and S will be always up for your D, F, and wind fart and E. All your damage skills are gonna be covered. So just spam it. You don't have to like hold A and S like Dominion. You just spam it, dude. See, quick recharge proc, wind fart right now. See, I could just done another cycle there. So this build is really nice. If you don't have a support in Guardians, it's good in Raids because you don't have to worry about Conviction Judgment. You don't have to worry about Awakening. You don't have to worry about no mana or some support didn't bring a mana, regenerating tripod. You just, all you gotta do is just freaking spam, man. Like, it's spam your heart out, this build, man. And Lightning Kick, one very important thing is Lightning Kick is part of your DPS rotation. Yes, you could use it as a mobility skill, but it is a big chunk of your DPS, okay? So Lightning Kick becomes a huge... I mean, as Dominion, you want to use it into your damage cycle as well. That has a higher ceiling instead of using it as a mobility skill, but even more so as Nightmare. And another thing is that you want to use this Awakening because it's like a time saw. It has an 80% damage reduction, as you can see. There's 80% damage reduction. So you want to use that like kind of a time stop. While Dominion does not have that. I'm talking about the pros and cons, right? Versus Dominion. Dominion cannot use this Awakening. I mean, you can, but it's like a TPS loss. As Dominion, I mean, a Nightmare, you have the 80% damage reduction, so it's nice. Also, when you're in Endless Mana state, and I told you how to control, like when to know you got to get out of the Endless Mana state, right? So let's go to Endless Mana state. Oh, whoops, I have cooldown. Let's see. So let's go to the Endless Mana state. So I'm in Endless Mana, right? Let's say that, like the boss is about to take a lot of damage, but you're like in Endless Mana, right? What do? Not a lot of people know this. 90% of the Lost Ark players don't know this. But you just proc, you just use your Awakening. Use Awakening, and then boom, Endless Mana ends. And then burst. So that is another way to end your Endless Mana and go into Addiction phase. right when like it's time to DPS, the bar gives you a buff, right? Everything's lined up, Atrophine's up, Dark Grenade is in there. So that's another thing, okay? Now, what do I do about regular Windfart in... What do I do? Quick recharges and proc. Then it depends on your gear. Like some people, they want to proc, they want to cut Windfart around here. Right before it hits the arrows, right? They want to detonate here. Right, but when I'm in Endless Mana, for me, it's about 9 o'clock with my gear. And if quick recharge procs, it's 6 o'clock. Now, once again, if you don't know that, it's okay. It's a learning process, okay? You just need to learn how to do it. And the better you get, the more powerful you become. Because Dominion, right? I mean, sorry, I'm so sorry. I keep confusing you guys. But Nightmare, you have more cooldown reduction because of Endless Mana, okay? So, Addiction, you hit hard as well, right? You hit hard compared to Endless Mana State. So it has a higher DPC but lower DPS. So you need to know how to fluctuate between the DPS state and the DPC state. So right now I'm going into Endless Mana State. Remember, the more Windfarts you can fit in, right? The better it is. Quick recharge proc, so I'm gonna get ready. Boom. 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 Quick recharge. Woo! That was a good, juicy quick recharge, dude. Boom. Boom. Quick recharge, man. It's addicting, man. It's fun, man. It's casino. Casino dancer. Woo! Boom! Look how fun this build is. But I actually hurt my arm playing this build on Wednesday. I actually, no cap, still hurts to this day. Boom! 6 o'clock, baby. Cause quick recharge keep coming, man. And you're like, oh, out of mana? Wait, Endless Mana is gonna keep helping me. And the longer you stay in this state, the higher your DPS is gonna be. Not your DPC. And that is that. Is there anything I'm forgetting for Nightmare? I talked about the Awakening, 80% damage reduction is nice. Windfart usage. And tripods. Tripod, there is a variation. This one, you can change direction with this. As you can see, you can change direction with that. And obviously, back attack skills, you want to back attack for the bonus perk of 10% crit and 5% additional damage. Now, this skill is not a back attack because we're... But anyways, let's go to Sweeping Wind. Sweeping Wind, you could play this one as preference with a bigger range, or you could play this one, right? Yeah, that depends. And this is going to be the same, but this one changes. You no longer need the mana help here. So we're gonna go with this one, the shield damage reduction. We could go with this one, doesn't really matter. We're gonna go same with here. This one is gonna be the same. And this one is gonna go wide boy. Or you could go with this. Okay. That's preference, but you don't need mana. You don't need mana. You wanna like not get mana. Okay? Alright, so that's the tripods. Those are the tripods. Higher DPC tripods. Okay. Is there anything I'm missing? Is there anything I'm missing? I know I spoke really fast, Nightmare, Dominion, but I don't think I'm missing anything here. Here's my word of advice. Play both. Try both. And crit damage on pants for elixirs. Okay? Try both, guys. I think, like, it's so easy to set up both. Come on now. Same gems, you know? I mean, gem party is a little different, but who cares, right? Same gems, same elixirs. Yeah, wow. You just change a little bit of tripods and gems. I mean, the runes, right? Why not learn both? I use it for Thaymine progression for both. And I used them both for Hell Hanamatan. They were both successful. Nightmare, just less stress, in my opinion. It's my opinion, right? Maybe Judgment Conviction is less stressful for you. And then snapshotting Judgment Conviction. So you want to the way Judgment Conviction works is 45-second ICD, right? So you want to proc it 45 seconds before you have to refresh your awakening. And then after those 45 seconds, you want to refresh it. You want to proc Judgment Conviction, or Conviction Judgment, right? You want to proc Conviction Judgment and then awaken. Okay, so you don't want to like proc Conviction Judgment while you counter with 20 seconds left on your awakening, on your buff. Let me show you what that means. So, okay, you can't even use awakening here, man. This place. So, the timing of this is you like, let's say 45 seconds left on this, then that's your last window to proc Conviction Judgment. After that, you don't want to proc it. So you don't want to use this skill in combination with this skill being up, because it's gonna proc it. Right? 64% chance to proc it. 64% chance. Right there, 64% chance. So just, you need to think about that. Like, if that pisses you off, you're like, oh, I don't want to count down and stuff. Oh, there's like 5-second empty. For me, with my gear, I have 5 seconds empty period. 5 seconds empty period. If that bothers you, if that gives you PTSD, try the Nightmare. You know what I mean? Because going 2-piece Nightmare, you can't avoid this, because you're still going to go 4-piece Dominion. So if you don't like that, go complete Dominion. Okay? Now, the thing, the ones, I mean, sorry, go 6-piece Nightmare. Okay? Yeah, if Conviction Judgment gives you PTSD, or the buff itself for Dominion, it bothers you, go 6-piece Nightmare. But then Nightmare also has its own stress, because you're going to be spamming a lot more, and if you're doing progression as Nightmare, your arm might actually fall off. And also, while I did say that you don't have to really min-max your wind fart off cooldown, like, you want to use this as many times as possible in a fight. While I did say that, you kind of want to do that. So there are pros and cons, what I'm trying to say. Play both, pick one. Play both and pick one. As for the crit Nightmare, that shit sucks. Get the fuck out of here, okay? That shit's like fucking baby shit, bro. That ain't, I don't talk about that. I'm talking about ceiling builds, okay? All right, that's it. Peace.